Hello, everyone. My guest today is Anupreet Singh. He's currently leading sales at Slintel, a SaaS sales intelligence platform. He set up sales teams and functions from scratch for various companies and firmly believes that the initial revenue target is achieved only when the entire organization works with grit to support those initial sales reps. Anupreet, you ready to take us to the top?
Hey, Nathan. Thanks a lot for having me on the session.
You bet. So before we jump into how you're building the sales team at Slintel, let's just get an overall of the company, right? So, are you sort of in the ZoomInfo, Bombora, B2B intelligence space?
Absolutely, and very very excited about that space at large. The way all of us have grown in the last 2-3 years, it's amazing.
So how are you picking? You must have some trick you guys use, whether it's a sales script or a piece of product or tech code that you have that ZoomInfo doesn't have. But how are you picking customers off from the legacy players?
Very good questions. So Nathan, what we do is that we have algorithm that goes out on the web. We try to understand digital signatures that technologies leave when someone is using them. By which I mean, there are different places in which a particular technology would leave a digital footprint. Like, for example, Salesforce gives you a dedicated login URL, which would have your company name.my.salesforce.com, which means that each of the customer of Salesforce will have a dedicated login URL. We have means to understand, which URLs have been dedicated to which companies out there. Similarly, some companies would ask you to install a JavaScript in their HTML source code or in the JavaScript of their front end of the website. And we would have means to identify which companies have a mention of that JavaScript that has been given by that technology. And then there are a lot of technologies that leave a footprint behind the firewall, by which I mean, for example, mainframes. It's a very, very old, programming language, but the digital footprint could be in the job description, wherein, say, a company that is using mainframe might mention in the job description that, hey, we need experience working with COBOL and JCL and DB2, all the mainframe technologies. And that gives us an indication that, hey, this company is on mainframes today. So we go to around 12 to 15 different sources, and the number of sources is the trick, and the frequency at which we refresh our digital signatures and the frequency at which we go out on the web and get this information together is the trick, which is helping us.
Do you feel like you have identified leading indicators that others like Bombora, ZoomInfo, others, they have not identified yet?
Absolutely. So Bombora follows a very different way to identify intent. So they do search-based intent, which is very different from technographics-based intent. So we believe more like in facts than assumptions, if I may put it that way. So we share fact-based intent, which is based on which company is using which technology. Have they recently started using a technology in your ecosystem? Like if you notice, right, a lot of companies fall into similar ecosystem. Like someone has just purchased a CRM, they might purchase a sales engagement tool next, they might purchase a database tool next, right? So that leading indicator of which company has just purchased a tool is our leading indicator for buying intent scores. And then we toss it up with, which company got recently funded, which company has been growing their number of employees, which company has a lot of job postings, to further give an indication which companies will be investing in which kind of tools in the near future. Bombora does intent based on searches. So based on, who is consuming what content on the internet. And I'm not sure how it's doing for them right now, but because of people working from home, we believe that search-based intent is not as accurate as it used to be, because it's based on IP addresses and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So with this product understanding, right, I think my audience understands this now. What are customers paying you on average per month to use the technology?
So we have customers anywhere ranging from around $15,000 to around $70,000-$80,000, depending on the number of users and the number
per
of
month or per year.
Per year, $15,000 per year to $70,000-$80,000 per year.
Are you upselling against anything else? And this is now getting into your sales world. Are you upselling against anything else besides number of seats?
We are also upselling on the basis of number of export credits that they require. So the number of exports that they need from our platform to their CRM, like Salesforce or HubSpot.
Do they that also is just the number of exports? And if so, do you roll them into the next year if you don't use them?
Yes, we roll them into the next year.
Okay, so you're a nice guy. You don't make them disappear, huh?
Absolutely. And we don't have a monthly limit. Most of our competitors do, like per user per month kind of a limit. We don't have that. So we give you a pool of credits. You can decide to use as many per user as you want. You might want, say, 10 of your users to not export at all because they can just view everything on the platform and do their research, while 5 sales off people would need exports to CRMs or to CSVs. So, that's totally fine with us.
Are you up? So you have a usage-based upsell and number of credits. You've got a seat-based upsell, which is obvious, seats. The last pricing axis you like to see is obviously feature-based upselling. So do you do any feature-based upselling?
We actually don't. We don't piecemeal our product. We don't like to. So we like to give the full-blown platform to everyone that comes on board. The reason being that we see organic upsells and organic renewals when someone is getting success out of the platform. And in our case, success is directly related to revenue. So if they are making revenue using our platform, they will definitely upsell, they will definitely renew. So for us, giving them everything that they need to, get to those revenue goals is our motto. And we don't limit them to the extent of features that they can use on the platform.
Anupreet, teach us about churn, right? So when you look at your gross revenue churn over the past 12 months, what was it?
We've seen 110% as our NRR. So mostly we've seen that, 10, if there is around 10-20% companies that are churning, against that we're able to upsell around 30%. So far we've been maintaining a pretty healthy NRR so far. We've been in the business only for the last 2-3 years. So, it's very early to kind of predict the churn rates annually, but we're doing pretty fine so far.
So you launched in 2018?
We did. So first 1.5 year was all about building the product, and then we went into the GTM side of things. So
you were there in the early days, I believe. What employee number were you?
I was in the first 10.
Okay, first 10, great. So question for you. I mean, how did you guys get your first 5 customers?
Very interesting. So first 5 customers, like anyone else, was more from friends and families. We started reaching out to companies that we've worked at. And organically, we started doing very well in the HR tech side of business because Deepak, the founder, is from Eightfold. I am from Metal, which now got acquired by Mercer. So, both of us have an HR tech background. So initial few customers were from HR tech for those reasons. And then staffing companies started coming in organically when we started closing to HR tech. And then we expanded into other industries. So first 10-20 customers were from the HR tech for those reasons. And they're still sticking around with us and giving us references from.
I always like to ask that first year of operations. It's usually an embarrassing number, but it's part of the process. Do you remember what that first year revenue was?
Yeah, so before I joined, the total revenue of the company was $100,000. And that was like kind of first year revenue where the founder was trying to sell most of the deals himself. And then the second year was a very
joined at like 10K of MRR then.
Yeah, we only do annual deals. So it was 100K ARR when I joined them. And from there was the actual, massive journey that we've taken so far. We just announced our Series A today, by the way, with GGV capital for $20 million. So we've closed 2 rounds in the last 6 months. So we've just expanded very, very fast in the last 2 years.
We'll talk about the $20 million raise today, the $4.2 million last year, and even the initial $300,000 back in 2018. But first, I want to understand how we're getting customers now today, right? So what's the sales motion look like today?
So we have SDRs and account executives in place. We have further divided the SDRs into inbound and outbound. Most of our revenue today comes from inbound. We do massive ad campaigns against our competitors. We do massive investment in our SEO. By nature, our SEO is pretty strong because we have data of around 15 million companies, customers of around 40,000 technologies. So all of that results in a lot of SEO strategy for us. But yeah,
I want to dive in there for a second. So on the SEO side of things, have you launched individual landing pages for 15 million companies? So when people search like company X revenue, you rank high or something?
Yeah, we're there. Yes.
What are those combinations? That's what I'm really interested in because that's the magic to this, right? So it's company name plus what word?
Plus funding, plus revenue, plus technologies used. Plus it could even be at a personal level. So we have we have a total of 250 million people profiles on the platform today. So we're building pages for individual people profiles as well as we speak.
Person's name plus what keywords?
Yeah, like for example, your name plus your designation might land you to our company, page dedicated to you. So we're trying to, get into that as well, so that the SEO is taking care of itself. There's so many pages.
How are you outranking others? I mean, you're young. Your domain authority on Ahrefs is 29, so that's not great. You want to see like 60, 70, 80. How are you outranking others with higher domain authority?
Yeah, so I think we know that it will take some time. In terms of our overall, website rank, we are around 10,000 in US as of today.
So 10,000 what in the US?
Our rank is 10,000. Alexa rank is 10,000, which means that, and it was around, I think 30, 35, 40,000 last year, same time. So we're trying to, improvise on those ranks gradually. We're doing better than any other company in any other industry, which is 3 years old, but competing against our own industry for SEO is very, very difficult. The reason being that all of them have the similar strategy of, having multiple pages for multiple companies and multiple people. So it's difficult.
The problem is you're trying to boil the ocean. You're not hyper focused on one business sector. You're trying to do every business possible. So it's hard to win in one spot.
Absolutely.
This is interesting. Okay, that's SEO. Let's talk about paid. How much did you spend on paid ads last month?
We're spending around 200,000 right now every month on paid ads.
And are you the guy that's going, yes, keep doing it, or no, shut it off, it's not working?
I'm one of the influencers because every time they do a 200,000, I definitely have to maintain CAC and I have to give them that, hey, do I have the capacity? Do I have the AE capacity to handle those many leads? So I'm one of the influencers, but the decision is taken together by the marketing head, myself, and the founder.
How many leads will $200,000 in paid spend drive?
Right now, so it's very difficult to attribute a lead directly to a paid spend. The reason being that a lot of times people would just search for Slintel, but instead of clicking on Slintel.com, they would click on the ad that we run for our own brand. So, but overall, we're able to drive around, I think, around 700 to 800 leads every month.
And then take spend. Me down the funnel, right? So, how many current AEs are on the team?
We have a total of 10 AEs, already expanding that to 15 gradually, and to 20 later next quarter.
And are the AEs the only one that carry a quota?
Yes, only AEs.
So 10 account executives, 10. How many like when you add up your entire sales team, SDRs, CSMs, everyone? How big is that?
The sales team is around 30 people, and then we have a 10-member CSM on top of that. So SDRs around 20 SDRs, 10 account executives, and 10 customer success managers.
Do you give your CSMs quota targets for expansion?
We do, yeah. So our CSMs carry expansion. Yes, they carry a quota of upsells and cross sells, and maintaining the retention rates.
Okay, I'm working for you. I'm a CSM. I'm a year and a half into my work at Slintel. We're having our one-on-one performance meeting. What kinds of questions are you like? Tell me what my goal is for the next year.
Absolutely. So you'll be given a certain book of accounts, which might amount to somewhere around $1 million for the year, and your goal is to maintain the $1 million as it is, but while trying to upsell into the accounts that are extremely happy and are using the platform thoroughly. And the ones that are not, try to understand what's going on, try to set up one-on-one weekly calls with them, because we want to know if there's anything going wrong. We need to know that immediately. So if they're happy to do a weekly call with you, you should do that every week with your customers. So your goal is to keep them happy, see if there's any upsell opportunity, and make sure that $1 million is not slipping away.
Anuprit, in a year when we have our next call, man, I want to raise. So I want you to tell me a metric that I have to beat where you're going to be really happy with me. What metric do I have to beat?
So making sure that you're maintaining and managing the most important customers really well, and they're able to upsell to even a 2x kind of standpoint. If your customers are using our competitors as well, find means to replace competitors completely in the next 1 year. We'll see how many customers could you double up in terms of the total number of users, in terms of the total number of credits consumed, which kind of indicates that they're using more of us than the competitor. Because in our industry, tools coexist. We can coexist with ZoomInfo and Bombora.
What's my net dollar retention goal?
We've been maintaining an average of 110, so we'll stick to that for you.
No, but is that the goal? Is that the goal for every CSM? That's what I'm trying to get into here. Yep. What is your what metric? Okay, so you say here's $1 million book of business. Your goal is to keep 110% net dollar retention on this million. So you should grow this million to 1.1 million in ARR in a year. If you do that, Nathan, I'll be really happy with you.
Correct. Anything less than 90 is really bad for our company right now. So because anyone who's doing less than 90 is not anywhere close to our goals right now.
That seems really conservative. I mean, you guys, I feel like should be at like 130, 125% net dollar retention. Why so conservative?
So we see that the biggest growth comes from only the enterprise customers, the ones that are all from fast growing startups. But we also have a chunk of less than 50 employees customers that kind of churn after 1 year. A lot of those companies shut down. So we have to take into consideration that a lot of companies that started working with us, because Sales Intelligence tool is one of the first few tools that companies start using.
But so they're small. Those are small ARPU accounts. If they churn, it shouldn't impact your net dollar retention in a big way.
Yeah, but in the first year or two, right, we had a lot of such customers coming our way. So we're moving away from them, and we're also focusing a lot more on the 51 and above. So we know that those customers are still in their pipe. The goal is to definitely go towards 120, 130 in the next 6 months or so. But today, the book of accounts that we have, we know that has a mix of both very small accounts as well as relatively larger accounts. And now our focus from here on, after this recent raise, is going towards enterprises, Fortune 1000, Fortune 500.
So that's
bonus? When we can focus on that kind of.
As a CSM, if I hit 110% net dollar retention, what bonus do I get? How do you incent me to do that?
Quite a few things. So you get 4% of every upsell that you do. 4%, yes.
In perpetuity?
Of every upsell. like 4% flat for the upsell. So if you upsell $10,000, you get $400 in your back account.
Just for the first year. It doesn't go on in perpetuity.
For the first year.
Okay, got it.
Yep. And we also do it just for the first year for the account executives as well. We don't do it for perpetuity for account executives as well, just for the first year. And then we also give you spiffs. So we have $500 spiffs for, every little achievement. So for example, a spiff if you are able to get a video testimonial, a spiff if you get a great G2 review, a spiff if you're able to, get a reference from a customer. So there are a lot of spiffs to V1. So, there's a lot of.
Okay, very good. This is really valuable. We're getting short on time here, so I want to keep digging here. But just to summarize that, you basically give $1 million book of business to every CSM, and their goal of 110% net dollar retention. They make 4% of whatever they upsell.
Correct.
Okay, talk to me about your first sales hire. What quota did you give them? That's always really hard to figure out.
Absolutely. So when we started off, we figured out a way to do around $50,000 per month. Internally. So we had just one person. First couple of months, there was no quota for that person. Me and that person was trying to figure out means to deliver $50,000 per month consistently. And once we were able to do $50,000 between the two of us, we started hiring more with a target of $20,000 per month.
Just to be clear, you're adding $50,000 in new monthly recurring revenue per month, or $50K in ACV value?
50,000 ACV in the beginning per month. So these are days when our total ACV was $100,000, right? So we started from there. In 3 months, we started doing 50,000 per month of ACV. So yeah.
So when you were
when
you were figuring out the model, you set a quota target of basically $600,000 of new ACV, right? So 50 grand per month, right, for you as the first rep. And then you said, how do I edit this to go hire my first external AE? Talk me through that.
Absolutely. So when we hired two AEs and two SDRs together. And we try to make sure that this 50,000, even if I am not in the picture, I'm not going to the demos, we are able to maintain this 50,000 per month consistently. And then we plan ways to go from 50 to 100, which we did eventually in 3 months. But 50,000 for the first 3 months was split between 3 AEs with a target of somewhere around 20,000 per AE per month. So we went from 2 AEs, $20,000 per AE per month to 3 AEs, $20,000 per AE per month. Eventually, we started doing 30, 35 each. And we went to 100,000 with just 3 A's, and then eventually to 150,000 with just 3 A's, while their target was just 30,000 per month. So the thing that we did differently from others was that our targets were still low while they were doing 200% of their numbers. And even today, the per A target is still 30,000 while we have quite a few A's, and most of them are overachieving. So with 10 A's, we're doing $30,000 per month. But it doesn't mean that A's are only doing $30,000. It basically means that there are some A's doing 200%, 150%. Anything less than 100, they feel that it's low themselves. So for us, 100 is just the number that you need to meet to be an average AE. And every good AE is doing 200, 150%.
So 10 AEs, they're all doing way more than 30 grand in new annual contract value close per month. Many are at 100 grand. I mean, so what? You guys are adding like 500, 600,000 bucks in new ACV per month right now, something like that?
Somewhere around that, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Now, with all this strategy, now we understand how the whole machine sort of works. How many customers are you now at today?
We have 200 customers today. We've recently hit that number of 200.
That's great.
So yeah.
Can I multiply the 200 times the ARPU you gave me earlier of about $2,000? You guys are doing about $400,000 per month right now in revenue.
So we've just started doing that, right? But yeah, you can. So right now is when we started hitting 500. We're doing like almost 2x every quarter, if I may put it that way. Last year we grew 5x. So last quarter was not as big as this quarter. So yeah. And next quarter will be probably double of this.
So you're at about $500,000 per month right now in revenue. And a year ago, you were only at $100,000 per month in revenue for 5x year-over-year growth.
Absolutely.
That's great. But you've raised a bunch of capital to do it. So why'd you guys raise 20 million? Why'd you need it?
It was inbound. We did not need it. To be honest, we did not even spend our 4.2 million when we got an offer for 20 million. There was no way that we were accepting it. There was no way that it was on the card. But GGV was a great partner to have. Let me put it that way. They come in with a lot of US experience. Our founder is Indian. Most of our leaders are from India. We have all the intentions to now start hiring in US pretty aggressively. And that in that next phase of growth, right, we wanted, Deepak is one of the only people in the leadership team that is in US right now. Most of our other team members are in India. So while we expand, our US team, we wanted someone from US to participate as an investor. And the partner should be in US, the board of directors should be in US, and GGV was a great partner that way. So when we got them on board, The other things that opened up for us was exposure to the US markets in terms of hiring, in terms of campus recruitment. They referred us to Stanford. Recently, we had a bunch of interns from Stanford in that virtual campus drive. So, I mean, a lot of things opened up for us. And that's the reason why we accepted that inbound offer from GGB.
Yep. Now, were you early enough to get equity in the business personally?
Yes.
Okay. So anytime obviously you do a round, right, you're getting hit, right? There's a bit of dilution. Most Series A companies were giving up between, call it 10 and 20% of the business, like on that Series A round. Were you guys sort of in that range?
Yeah, we were, absolutely. But I think the valuations are also crazy. The valuation has increased approximately 20 times since I've been hired in the company.
What was we won't talk about today, but the 4.2 million you raised last year, what valuation did you raise that at?
Somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 million was that valuation.
That is so crazy. 15 to 20 million. So 15 to 20x your $1 million in ARR at that time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you said valuation's grown basically 5x year over year.
Revenue is, and valuation is also in the same range. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, I mean, we can say then this last $20 million raise you guys did was above $100 million valuation.
Yeah, we can say that it's in somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Very good. Well, listen, this is interesting. Last question I have, we talked about your sales team. What's your total team size?
Total team size is around 35 right now.
30. The total team is 35 and you have 30 on just the sales team?
Excluding the CSM. So CSMs don't really report into the sales function. They have a different vertical altogether. So only the SDRs, account executives, sales operations, sales enablement reports into the sales.
What about like engineers and everybody?
Oh, the total. Oh, sorry. I thought you asked me the question around sales. Whole team is more than 100 today.
100. Okay, got it. That makes sense. And then what? How many engineers?
Around 30.
30. Very cool.
30 engineers, 10 product managers. Yeah.
That's great. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
It is actually this one, Good to Great. I just love it by Jim Collins. Also one of the first few books that I read ever around sales. So really like it.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Quite a few actually. I like to follow CEOs who are from SaaS ecosystems. So Girish from Freshworks is one of those CEOs that I follow very, very closely. So if there's one name, I would say Girish from Freshworks.
We'll see if they IPO here in the next 12 months. I know he's really wanting to. We'll see. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool? What's your favorite online tool for building Slintel besides your own?
I think Gong. Gong has been a great partner. We use Gong for all our forecasting today. All the stand-ups happen on Gong.
Are you in acquisition talks with Gong? They have $250 million of fresh powder to work with.
No, we're not. We're not looking for acquisition at all, but we're getting a lot of inbound interest from a lot of companies, but not looking to get acquired at this valuation.
What's the largest company that's reached out?
I can't give out the name, but largest ABM company reached out to us.
Okay, interesting. Fair enough. All right, number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I work in the US hours and I'm in India right now. So I sleep from 5 a.m. To around 1 or 2 a.m. So 1 or 2 p.m. So I sleep very, very odd hours, but I take around 7 hours of sleep.
Okay, and what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
I recently got married, no kids.
Oh, congratulations. And how old are you?
I'm 29, turning 29 this month. Yeah.
Very cool. Last question, Anapreet. What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
Sorry, what was that?
Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
I think I wish I knew that money is not as important when I didn't have money at 20. I thought money is everything, and I kept chasing that. And that is one of the reasons I was so aspirational in my life that I became a sales leader at 26. I'm the youngest sales leader in the industry today. Leading such a big function, and was leading sales function since I was 26. But the reason I could do that is because I was so aspirational. But after I achieved that, I realized that money is not as important as I thought it was.
Guys, Slintel competing in the B2B SaaS intelligence space. They had $100,000 in MRR a year ago, now over $500,000 in MRR or $6 million run rate. Over 200 customers, again, growing rapidly. They spent $200,000 on paid ads last month and also doing a strong SEO motion. 30 folks on their sales team, 10 AEs carry a quota, 10 CSMs carry a net dollar retention quota. We dive into all of it today. Anapreet, thanks for taking us to the top.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nathan. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for making it so insightful. I hope the listeners get some value out of it.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.